Welcome to the Garden Years, where we're cultivating lives that blossom with joy rather than decline. I'm Gloria Jean, and I'm glad you're here. Today, we're going to be talking about something to start off with 2026, and that is starting something anew. You know, I've been thinking a lot about routines lately. Routines are good things to have, they give us structure, comfort, and a sense of order in our days. There is a real value in knowing what comes next and having that morning coffee ritual or that Wednesday phone call with your sister. But here's what I've learned. Routines, as helpful as they are, can also become ruts if we're not careful. And the cure for a rut? Starting something new. Now, I'm not talking about building a new house, though if that's calling you, more power to you. I'm talking about something much simpler and honestly much more doable. I'm talking about choosing one thing that enhances your life in ways you can't even predict yet. If you ever garden, you know about thinning. This past summer, I planted okra and I had to thin it because it was too thick. When seedlings come up too thick or when a garden bed gets crowded, you have to make some hard choices. You pull out perfectly good plants, not because they're bad or wrong, but because they're taking up space that something else needs to flourish. And then comes the replanting. You choose something new for the cleared space. Maybe it's a different variety you've been curious about. Maybe it's something you've never grown before. The point is, you've made room for fresh growth. That's what starting something new does in our lives at this age. We're not throwing out everything we built. We're just thinning out what's crowding us, making intentional space for something fresh to take root. Let me give you a simple example that costs nothing and requires no special equipment. Taking the scenic right route instead of the highway. How many times do we drive the same route to the grocery store, to church, or to visit family? We know every pothole, every stoplight. It's efficient and it's familiar and it's boring, isn't it? But what if next time you took the road less traveled? Robert Frost says, I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Robert Frost knew something when he wrote about two roads diverging in a yellow wood. That choice, taking a different road, that's where discovery lies. The scenic route may add 10 minutes to your drive, but in those 10 minutes, you might see a house you've never noticed before with the most beautiful garden with purple azaleas. When I see a patch of purple azalea, it makes me smile. You might pass a little restaurant that's been there for years that you never noticed before. You may feel something shift inside just from breaking the pattern. Starting anew doesn't have to be dramatic. Sometimes it's just choosing a different road. Or maybe it's learning to bake bread. I've taken up baking and let me tell you, there's something deeply satisfying about working with your hands, about the smell that fills the kitchen, about pulling a golden loaf out of the oven and knowing that you created it. It's tangible, it's immediate, and it's completely different from flipping through your phone for an hour. Or learning how to grow orchids, those mysterious, elegant plants that seem so intimidating until you actually try. What if you brought one home and figured it out? Or reading a novel. When is the last time you got lost in a story? Not an article, not the news, not a how-to book, but an actual novel that transported you somewhere else entirely. These aren't grand gestures, they're small choices, but they're choices that say, I'm still growing, I'm still curious, I'm still becoming. Let me tell you about my own experiment with starting anew, because I want you to know I'm right there with you, figuring this out as I go. During COVID, when the world stopped and we were all stuck at home trying to figure out what to do with ourselves, I started sewing, learning how by watching YouTube. Now, I need to be honest with you. I do more taking apart than sewing sometimes. I'll get something almost finished and realize I made a mistake 3 steps back and I have to undo all the work. It can be frustrating, but here's the thing, I love it anyway. Sewing has enhanced my imagination and creativity in ways I never expected. When I sit down at the machine, I'm problem solving. I'm creating something with my hands. I'm seeing immediate results. Unlike long-term projects that take months or years to complete, I can finish a pillowcase or a simple bag in an afternoon. There's gratification in seeing your work come to life in a short period of time. And you want to know something sweet? Sometimes when I'm feeling a little down, my husband would say to me, why don't you go sew for a while? He's noticed what it does for me, how it shifts my mood, how it gives me something to focus on that's just mine, how it brings me back to myself. I don't plan to become someone who sews. It wasn't my vision. It wasn't on my vision board or goal list. It just happened. I said yes to trying something new, and it opened up a whole part of me I didn't know was there. That's what I'm inviting you to do today. Here's the permission part. You don't have to be good at the new thing. You don't have to turn it into a business or impress anyone or even tell people about it if you don't want to. You just have to try. The world tells us that by our age we should be settled, should know who we are, should stop experimenting. I'm here to tell you that's nonsense. These are the garden years. We're still growing, we're still blooming, and still surprising ourselves with what we're capable of. And here's the gentle challenge. What's one thing you've been curious about? What's been tugging at the edge of your awareness, whispering, maybe someday? Maybe someday is now. When we start something new, we're doing more than just adding an activity to our calendar. We're saying yes to ourselves and to the world. I'm not done yet. I am still becoming. It keeps our minds sharp. Learning activates parts of our brain that might have gotten a little sleepy from routine. It gives us something to look forward to. Instead of every day looking exactly like the last one, there's anticipation, curiosity, a reason to get up with energy. It reminds us who we are beneath all the roles we've played. Not someone's mother or grandmother, not someone's wife, not the person who always does everything the same way, but a woman with interests and capabilities and curiosity, still burning bright. And honestly, it's fun. When's the last time you did something just because it sounded fun? Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Gloria, my days are already full. I don't have time to add something new. And that's where the thinning comes in. What are you doing out of habit that doesn't actually serve you anymore? What's crowding your days without bringing you joy or purpose or connection? Maybe it's excessive TV watching. Maybe it's saying yes to every commitment and obligation when you'd rather say no. Maybe it's holding on to the belief that you're too old to learn something new. That's a belief worth pulling out by the roots. Thin out what's not serving you. Make space. then plant something fresh. So here's my invitation to you as we step into 2026. Choose one thing, just one. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to impress anybody. It just has to be new to you. Something that makes you curious. Something that adds a little color to your garden. Take the scenic route. Bake the bread. Learn a new thing. Read a novel. Start the hobby. These are the garden years. We're not declining, we are flourishing. And flourishing means continuing to grow in new directions, even when the world tells us we should be content with what we already know. What will you start anew? I'd love to hear about it. You can find me on my website, or you can respond to the comments on YouTube. Until next time, keep growing, keep blooming, and remember, the garden years always have room for something unexpected. If you are enjoying this content, please click subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and share it. This is Gloria Jean, and this is the Garden Years.